How we doing?
Yo,
How's the
Zero,
community?
man, it's a great week.
Absolutely. It's been hard work. It's been a lot of work continuously, but I'm getting used to it and it feels good. Everybody at the Malinali Kali and all the people that come from the podcast, they come and support. I just want to say a thank you. If I seem a little tired, that's the only reason is that they're long days, but I feel happy being here. I love doing this podcast. I love talking about our issues. I love meeting new brothers that are doing the same work, right? Like oh, the brother that's coming in,
Lucky 2Tears Morales.
yeah, lucky 2 Tears. And I just to have conversations with relatives in other places doing the work that they feel in their heart and the benefit of our community. I mean, that's the whole purpose of this platform. So
Absolutely. I want to go ahead and really shout out everyone that participated in our first open mic event at the
yeah,
Malalali Superfoods.
that was
Honestly, dude, I was kind of nervous at first because it was like an hour in and like only 2-3 people were there, but within minutes after that first hour, it got packed.
it's weird how the open mics work. That's kind of the way they work. Like nobody's there, nobody's there. You're like, is anybody gonna
And you know
come?
what I noticed?
And then boom, everybody's there.
There was a few heads that showed up planning on getting on the mic, and they were too nervous to sign up.
Mm,
And then at the end, they were like, "Look, I want to say something." That's what it's all about, right? To inspire that artist that's there and to break through the nervousness, right, Zero?
well, it's important to inspire people to share their voice and share their opinion. That's how we learn to communicate with each other. You have to share your voice. If you don't share your voice, then and keeping it repressed, and it'll drive you crazy. But open mics seem to give that artist, the new artist, that new person that's going to express, whether you're an artist or not. Maybe you just wrote an essay, or you have something to say, or you're a comedian, or any sort of art, right? It's not entertainment, it's art. It's an expression of heart, because there was a lot of people sharing a lot of medicine that was coming from them, and pretty much was just a healing thing, a healing poem, something that they're don't agree with very strongly. So it was beautiful to see that in the community. And yes, the most ultimate feeling I had in my heart was when someone was, let me go up there before I change my mind, and stand in front of 30 people and go, I'm going to share my intimacy with you, my deepest thoughts, my intention.
And that's exactly what it is. We had a couple participants that just got super nervous while they were up there. And then the crowd motivated them to continue to move forward, and then they finished their song or their poem or whatever.
The community participation that's what was beautiful. Everybody
So
was in the same level.
absolutely. So we will be announcing the next open mic. There's going to be workshops. There's going to be brunches.
Yeah.
Um,
We're working the calendar for Malinali as we speak. We have a few things that we've locked in already, which this Saturday we're gonna go with um, brother Victor. I forgot his last name, but he goes to the Huicholes out in Viricuta, and he brings back a lot of their jewelry, and he has a lot of medicine and a lot of wisdom, and he's going to share our workshop there on Saturday. So this Saturday at Malinali from 12 to 3, I believe. If not, just check our page because we'll be posting all that stuff. We also sold vegan posole, a plant-based pozole. So yeah, just check out our page, 4528 Whittier Boulevard. That is a place where we share our nutrition, we share our medicine, and we share our community. A community has a place to share their medicine and share their wisdom, right in the heart of East Los Angeles, the place where I grew up. We did this with no money. This is all our effort and intention. And so we rely on our community to spread the word and support us as we do that.
and guys, you guys could find all the LA Natives t-shirts and sweaters right there at Malalani Superfoods. On top of that, you could find Matatzin's merchandise there as well.
Absolutely. We're going to have everybody's, all the community medicine will be somehow, some way put in there. If we can get a, consignment situation. Well, we just really
I was
kind
about to mention that, right, Zero? Let's help out the community, guys. If you guys have a solid product that's devoted to the community,
the healing of the
pitch
community.
it to Zero. You know, Zero's a businessman and he knows what's best for his store, and that's what it's all about.
Well, that's definitely the place where you go and do that. That's that I'm not a capitalist. This is not the intention of the store. The store is to be a kind of a health food healing center. We'll be going over, many maestros are going to come through there. Not only Masatzin, but Masatzin will be there. Anyone who has a message to our community of strength, perseverance, but most of all, love.
And keep in mind, this was hardly any promo, only 4 days of light promo, and we had a good turnout.
Yeah. Well, because of the community, we have a solid community. LA Natives have a solid community. Most of them were LA Natives.
They were actually, yeah. Shout out to Al Red Dog. He's in the chat. He was with us that day.
Thank you. Thank you for being there. Thank you for being in the chat. That means we're a solid community at this point. But
shout out to Montezuma, who bought the sweater, and he actually performed.
Sweet. Dope. That's supporting, participating. That's what we want as a community.
And I love the fact that we had DJ Warlock one there. And I hope he could be our resident DJ there when we have our open mics, man, because he definitely added that spice to the event.
I mean, Warlock one is one of the most, he's a diamond in the rough. Like when someone really finds him, he's going to really, really take off. And I'm happy to have met him in this humble stage, because I know he has a lot of great places to be. And I wish him a lot of luck, and when we have them here, great.
December 11th, we are hosting Conejo Underground Hip Hop Blog, and it's hosted by the one and only Zero of El Vuh. How do you feel about that?
I feel honored to be in front of my raza, and sometimes the people they feel like, well, that's not your crowd, and I don't need it to be my crowd. I can't preach to people who agree with me all the time. I'm not even preaching. I'm just sharing what my heart says. And if I could share what my heart says in front of individuals who probably don't have or have very little understanding of this, then my poetry kind of helps them. And I've met many, many young men or people in their 30s that are like, man, I used to listen to you when I was a kid. And now it inspired me to go into this. And it happens to be something that, like a danzante, or somebody that went and learned herbs and became a medicine person. And
I actually remember the second Nightmare Before Christmas, you killed the stage. And then when you went into the crowd, a lot of people were approaching you.
A lot of people felt what I was saying. They didn't know what I was saying, but they said, we're together on this. And that's a powerful thing, to be able to speak to the heart, because the heart doesn't have a language. It just has intentions, and it just has a vibration, and this brother that's coming up right now, he has a lot of heart. And I've seen his posts on Instagram, and I'm excited to meet him and hear what he has to say.
Honestly, he's a super high profile influencer in the indigenous community.
Absolutely.
Especially for the raza.
Yeah.
When I stumbled upon Lucky 2Tears Morales, man, I was blown away. Because I was like, man, like-minded individuals do exist.
Yeah.
People who are not just walking, not just talking, but walking,
Mm-hmm.
And it's tough enough to get engagement on social media right now, man. But if you're doing real work, the engagement will come.
Yeah.
Right, Zero?
I think when you get on a public platform and you're a brilliant artist, and I don't refer to artists as painters or poets or musicians. I refer to artists as someone who can really represent their heart's intention. They do that by wearing certain jewelry. They do that by singing certain songs or making their body look a certain way. I feel that from this brother. He has a very straightforward. There's no there's no question where his heart is and who he represents. And that's cool. I would love to meet him.
So let's go ahead and bring him right in.
Oh, brother, how you
Yo,
doing?
lucky 2Tears.
Good.
Yo, I want to thank you for accepting our invite, brother. You know, we've been going back and forth for a few months now, man, and we've been communicating. And now's the time, brother. And I really appreciate you jumping on board.
Oh, no problem. It's an honor.
Absolutely, brother. Why don't you introduce yourself to our community and welcome?
Well, my name is Lucky 2Tears Morales, the Yaqui Nation.
Oh.
Community activist. Or barrio activist. I'm getting a lot of echo right now. It's like right in my ears.
I'm not sure. If you have your side up with volume, it might cause a
I think I went ahead and fixed it.
Yeah, got it?
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
Perfect.
Yes, sir.
All right.
There it is.
Good.
I was like, it was bam, right in my ears. Like, what the heck?
Well, sorry about that. We're still learning this equipment ourselves.
Yeah,
so.
you know, I went ahead and changed up the echo cancellation. It seems like it took like 6-7 seconds for it to update.
Yeah, kind of the latency of streaming. That sometimes that happens.
Guys, we got Lucky 2Tears Morales in the building. I would highly encourage everyone to follow him on Instagram.
Absolutely.
He has one of the most amazing pages right now.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you, brother. Appreciate that.
So, give us a little bit of background on who you are.
Well, first of all, barrio activist. I've been affiliated with the End Barrio Warfare movement since I was about 17 years old. Back then, because I saw the bigger picture. I saw what was really going on back then. At the age of 17, I knew the difference between the reality and the illusion of Mexicano pride. So I didn't get involved in any of that gang politics stuff. My outlet was writing poetry, being a pencil artist, submitting my poetry and my illustrations to some of the local mom and pop Chicano publications, little magazines that were circulating around the neighborhoods, the South Bay area. And that was my way of dealing with what was going on around me, with all the negativity, with raza against raza, fighting over street signs stuck in cement and barrio territory that they could never buy, sell, nor own. So, I was seeing all of this going on, and I said to myself, that's not for me. I'm native, I'm not going to get caught up in that raza against raza politics. But at the same time, I wanted to be part of this movement, the Embodied warfare movement, in order to educate those that were caught up in the crazy life, educate them on the difference between the reality and the illusion of Chicano pride.
Wow, Zero, that's deep, bro.
And you know what? To have it at that young age, 17, and to break the illusion that colonized oppressors kind of force you to live, right, brother? You would agree that we're kind of forced to live that way. You either
exactly,
and you make these tough choice, right? You make this tough choice of like, I love that guy right there. That he's my best friend, and we go to school together, but he's bought into that colonized road, right? And then something inside of me when I was young, it was really the love of my grandmother who told me to take care of my body, take care of myself all the time, take care of yourself, and that's kind of like an indigenous principle, to take care of your shell, to take care of your being as best as you can. Well, then that kept you from harming other people for no reason, or a reason that was pushed onto you. So
exactly.
Brothers like yourself are warriors that were from ancient times, I believe. I feel like your spirit is just an ancient warrior refusing still to this day to bow down to a colonized oppressor. And
that's exactly right on point. That's exactly how I feel. I don't commit nor conform to the ways that what the government has imposed on us as a people. I don't vote. I'm not into politics at all. To me, everyone's a liar, whether they're Democrat, Republican, liberals, or whatever. I don't care about Trump. I don't care about Biden, Kamala, Bush, Obama. None of that matters to me. I'm just a Yaqui trying to survive on stolen land, Turtle Island.
Mm, mm. And I feel your heart and I feel your intention. And I love the way you present yourself. I've seen your posts, you know,
Oh, thank you, brother.
and I believe I follow you because I get your stories and I get your feed on my when I'm scrolling through Instagram,
One
doing
of
my
my biggest one of my biggest inspirations when I was, or what really inspired me to really push and get involved in the movement was a speech that my younger brother made. One time we were just kicking back in the room, we
mm,
were talking,
mm,
and he said, "So what do you think about everything that's going on around us
mm,
with this whole gang banging stuff?" And I told him I don't like it, and he goes, "You know what?" And he made this speech and he said, "If this what it means to be Mexican or Chicano," he goes, "I don't want nothing to do with it."
mm,
And he meant that from that day on, he didn't want to be brown.
mm,
He didn't want to be brown because the only example of being brown around us at the time we're teenagers was the whole gangbang thing.
mm,
So as we were growing older, as we got older, the years went on, he didn't really want to. He detached himself from racism, or being
mhm,
indigenous. He just wanted to kind of like I don't mean to disrespect my brother, but he was kind of like somewhat of a coconut. You know what I mean?
mm,
He didn't want to grasp the racism because the only example was the whole gang thing.
mhm,
So I don't blame him for his actions, but because of the fact that I was into art and poetry, I saw that there was a different path or different avenue
mm,
of Mexicano Chicanoism, which
mm,
was the movement.
mm.
So that's why it was easy for me, and difficult for him.
And what age were you in this room when you were discussing this? So you were at 17 years old?
At 16, 15, something like that,
That's
mid-teens.
that's a profound that's a profound heart. You know, a lot of people say profound mind. No, that's a profound heart,
Right,
right? To at 15, you're still figuring out emotions. You're still
right,
figuring out what it's like to take responsibility for what you say, go and agree with things with people. It's just a brand, and to have a profound heart and
right.
say, whoa, what is it like? You know, how come people are killing each other, man? And why do we think it's cool?
Yeah,
Why do we go along with it? And then to have that epiphany or moment of clarity where you're like, I'm not down with that.
yeah. It never made sense to me. It never, even to this day, at the age of 57, still some of the lingering gang banging that's going on throughout Aslan.
Mm,
It still it doesn't make no sense to me. Our backs are against the wall as it is. As an activist to this day, I'm out there educating the raza and my indigenous brothers and sisters on our constitutional rights in order to defend ourselves against tyrants, the
mm,
tyrants with badges that patrol our neighborhoods while wearing hypocrisy on one sleeve and racism on the other.
mhm,
I think it's very important for La Raza and people of color to know their First Amendment, the Fourth Amendment, and the Fifth Amendment when dealing with members of law enforcement in our barrios and the
mhm.
black neighborhoods.
Well, law enforcement don't like it when you know the rules.
Exactly.
They kind of assume that you're uninformed. You know, they kind of
Exactly.
assume you're a peasant class, you don't read, you don't watch the news, so you listen to my intimidating uniform and my intimidating attitude. But when
Right.
you know the rules, then they have to step back.
Exactly.
There are rules. There
It
are
it
rules,
blo-
you know.
it blows their mind, man, when you can quote the First Amendment to them and they can't.
Mhm. Yeah, because
And
they're uninformed. It's not. It's a weird. It's the look. My perspective, brother, is that unfortunately, the people that take an oath to protect our communities become a different class of citizen in the eyes
exactly.
of America. They're
Right.
so when you wear a badge or a uniform, somehow, some way, you have authority over someone who doesn't. You have the authority to take his life.
Hmm.
Those are very deep moral questions that people who wear uniforms have to really realize is that it's almost like in Rome where the soldiers were a different class of people than the regular population.
Right.
right? You could get away with a lot more. They could rape a woman, they could steal from you, they could not pay your bill, they could, I'm talking about the Roman Empire, right? Because they had that upper class of, we are a uniformed unification that serves the greater whatever it is, elites or governments. So
Right.
it's kind of the same system, but if you're uninformed and can't see the bigger picture of it, I mean, I really, brother, I really don't dislike cops
I mean,
because
either
they're
I've met
just
a
they're
I've met a
just as
lot of. Oh,
uninformed
go
as
ahead.
we
Go
are.
ahead.
They're just as uninformed as we are. That's all I wanted to say. Is just
Yeah.
I take people every time I meet them. Then the heart energy gets involved, and we look in with our body language. And obviously, there are people who are irritated, unhealthy
Hmm.
in their mind and their heart, and they have a job that has authority over you.
Right.
That's a very complex system. But I love your way of looking at life, because if we look at life as natives, then we're designed to deal with these predators.
Right.
I feel like you're one of those brothers. You're designed to deal with these oppressive predators who sometimes cross our path. And not
Hmm.
every one of them is a predator. I'm not saying that. I have
Hmm.
family that are police officers and stuff like that. You know what I mean? I don't have any shame, or I talk truth all the time, but individual by individual. And if you are an oppressive colonizer, I'm equipped to deal with you as
Right.
best as I can. Just as
Right.
long as
I've met in my years of activism being profiled on the media on a local and national level. I've met members of law enforcement that have come up to me and say, "Hey, man, I really like what you're doing for your people, for the community." Coming up, shaking my hand, stuff like that, taking pictures, wanting to take pictures with me because of my status as an activist in the barrios
Mm,
throughout San Diego, and that's cool, because I think to myself, they're just people, you
they are
know,
people,
and
yeah.
yeah, and then but the reality is, there's a lot of good cops out there, but unfortunately, because of the thin blue line gang affiliation, the good cops are afraid to hold the bad cops accountable for their
Mm.
lawlessness. So therefore, the good cops are in the same boat as the bad cops until they're able to abolish the blue line gang mentality bullcrap.
Well, any organization that bands together, has meetings, has specific strategies, they're considered predators or
Right.
predatorial, right? Like I would consider them predatorial if they're not doing the you know when people market police officers, they market them as these individuals that are like fearless and kind, and they're not. They're normal people. They have the same problems that we have, like their relationships off, or maybe they're on alcoholic, or
Hmm.
whatever it is. They have their bad. The uniform doesn't erase. That's what I'm trying to point out. I'm
Hmm.
trying to point out is that they're a different class of citizen.
Right.
They're just a tiny bit above you.
But
They're
what it
part.
all but what it all boils down to is they're nothing more than public servants,
Mm,
and they have no authority over you unless you are clearly breaking the law. Other
mm,
than that, they are public servants. When you approach them, you could say, "Hey," or if they approach you without probable cause, it's always I always tell the raza and people of color, if they approach you without probable cause or just hit you up for no reason, try to hem you up, always pull out your cell phone and start recording. That's your best defense,
oh, mm.
because a lot of them don't like transparency and or accountability.
Well, they don't like truth. This
Exactly. The
system
camera
doesn't.
doesn't lie.
This system is not built on truth. If it was,
Right.
then the officers, the military,
And I
the
can admit, the majority of police officers, in my experience, are disrespectful as shit. I
well,
remember
Yeah.
I was traumatized at the age of 14, 15 years old, right? I was drinking at a park with my friends.
mm,
The cops actually drive up onto the grass and just pull it right in front of us on our bench.
mm,
So, of course, as kids, we panic, we throw the fucking beers. But how far can a beer go when you just toss it? It's like 20 feet
Right.
away.
Right.
So the cops gather us all around and they literally tell me, "You little pieces of shits, get the fuck
Hmm.
out of here." How
Yeah.
can you talk to kids like that?
it's scary when you
And
have
ever
people
since
who
then,
have guns.
ever since then, they were my enemy.
Yeah. You know, I've had my own experiences with I have a police story, you know. I'll share it. I was about 7 years old and I was running to the store. And there was a police officer parked right in front of a known gang house. And he was outside just, you know, fluffing his feathers or whatever the hell he was doing, you know. Just and I'm running and he turns around and I run past him and he grabs me like this, boom, from the neck, from the back of my shirt, and pulls me down, boom, and I just fall flat. I'm 7 years old. And he's all, don't ever run in back of me again. And just
What
takes
the
off.
heck?
And just takes off. This is a long time ago. This was about 40 years ago. Or 30 years ago.
They haven't changed.
But that's the vibe. You know, that's the fucking vibe they have. I've never had any. After that experience, I don't think I've ever had an experience where they didn't feel like they could hurt me. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's what I felt when I was a kid. I felt like this officer felt like he could hurt me, and no one could say anything about it. My mom couldn't say anything about it. My stepdad couldn't say anything about it because we're poor, low class, and that's what I mean. Just if you're a police officer or if you're listening to this podcast, know that we're all human and the uniform doesn't separate your humanity from us. I think that's
Right.
the main message, right?
Right.
Is don't separate your humanity because you have a badge or you work for a city or you work for a county or you work for whatever. We're all humans. Enough with the elites manipulating us to hate each other. That's what we were talking about earlier, right? The gang
Yeah.
violence.
I
And as
just
an activist, I have to often remind them, hey, this isn't Nazi Germany or communist China or North Korea. I don't have to show you anything, because they have this thing where they could just hit you up and ask you for identification.
Mm.
Especially in the state of California, is not a stop and ID state. Especially you're not breaking the law or you're not in the process of committing a crime or anything. You don't have to show them shit.
Wow,
You
I
know,
didn't know that. See, I see a
yeah,
lot of this
I did
information.
not I
I
did
didn't know
not
that
know
either.
that.
yeah.
Every time a cop questions me, I give him my damn ID, man.
No,
Because it's like,
you don't have
But
to.
I
don't wanna
love
go
this
to jail. I
brother's
don't wanna get
approach. You
fucked
know, my brother, my brother over here, he has the right attitude. Like, just know your rights, man. Know your rights and know
Know
when
your
to do it.
rights.
absolutely, because whatever happened to the term, they're law enforcers, they're
Right.
law enforcement, right?
Right.
Lucky.
Yeah. Yes.
So, thank you for contributing to
This movement
yeah, and
for
and
so
letting
long.
people know that they have to know their rights.
Yeah, I mean that's
Exactly. You have
important.
to know your rights.
It's important for that. I mean, I would.
I know I didn't know my rights because when I was 16 years old, I got caught with like 20 pounds of weed.
Oh shit.
And I was like interrogated, bro. And I didn't know my rights. So they made me rat on myself because I
Yeah.
was so scared.
Yeah.
Because he told me, hey, look, motherfucker, if you don't tell me who your source is, I'm going to tow away your mom's car.
Oh damn.
Your mom ain't going to like that, right? And I'm like, damn, I'm 15, paranoid. So then he ends up giving me a piece of paper and a pen, and he tells me, write your whole story, where you got it, who you got it from. And once you're done, I'll go ahead and leave your mom's car right there in the street so she can pick it up later. And, things like that traumatize me, bro.
Yeah. Well, we automatically we go and we judge the individual. Like, what are you doing with 20 pounds of weed and this and that and this and this? But we are from poor communities, man. We are from very, very extremely poor communities. The middle class of America is like mega rich compared to us. So we have these tough choices in these neighborhoods to go, well, I don't want to be the poor kid. I don't want to wear Pro Wings. I mean, I don't even know if they exist anymore, but I want to wear Nikes. And those Nikes cost $300. So I know this guy who knows this guy who, and we get sacrificed all day, every day.
And then that creates animosity against, the raza that's gangbangered out, that looks like a cholo, walks like a cholo. Right off the bat, the cops are on you. They'll pull you over real quick, take everything you got.
I'm sure my brother right here knows a lot about that. You
Oh
know,
yeah,
and
because they today's police, or throughout history, they work off with this thing called assumptions and preconceived notion. Right before they're right when they lay their eyes on you, they've already have come up with their idea on what they think you are, what you're all about. You're gang related, you're gang affiliated. Look at this punk; he's a thug. He's probably done time. This is their assumption, right? Even before they even roll up on you, they see you from a few feet. When they're getting ready to roll up, they already have this thought process about about the raza and blacks, that we're just thugs and this and that without even knowing. And when they hit us up, I teach a lot of the people, a lot of raza out there, that if a cop approaches you without probable cause, always ask them, so what crime do you suspect me of committing? The officer has to have reasonable, articulable suspicion that you have committed a crime, you're in the process of committing a crime, you're about to commit a crime. If he cannot articulate that and he's trying to hold you, it becomes an unlawful detainment. You do not have to identify yourself to the police if they're asking you for your identification, especially if they cannot prove that you've been involved in some type of crime. Nor can they search you. You could always invoke your Fourth Amendment, which protects you from any unlawful search and seizure of your person. And these are your rights that you have to know when you're encountering these people that try to violate your rights. It's always, especially you're not breaking the law. You don't have to show them your ID. They cannot search you. They cannot detain you for more than 15 to 20 minutes, or else it becomes an unlawful detainment. Some police officers will say, when they're trying to hem you up, they'll say, "Well, we got a call of a suspicious person. You might have a gun and this and that." And you could say, "Well, oh yeah, I'd like to get the incident number of that call so that I could go down to the police station and do a FOIA request on it, which is a Freedom of Information Act request, which will give you the whole printout of the call that was made and who it came from and everything." Because some people sometimes they'll lie in order to try to get something on you. You know,
that's weird. Like that's not a public servant.
no
That's not a public servant. That's not a public
parents.
servant. If you're gonna lie, maybe the officer that doesn't lie, who just goes, "Hey, look, you look suspicious. Okay, cool, get out of here." That's
Hmm.
cool. Whatever. You're doing your job, right? But
But
not to lie. Not to
but
lie.
even
Like,
right.
I want to go back to one point though of what you were saying earlier. You were saying that when a police officer lays eyes on you, he already has this preconception of what you are, right?
Right.
It's weird because I have sleeve tattoos. I have a lot of tattoos on my arms. And one time I got pulled over, I got dealt with by the police, and they're already automatically asking me, "Where'd you get? What time did you do? Where did you do it?" I've never been to jail. What do you mean you never been to jail? Where'd you get all those tattoos? They're all this and that. They're all Aztec, blah blah blah. You try to push some stuff on me, right? I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm, mo- I'm not. Look at my record. I'm clean. I'm cooperating. Well, what else would you like to know? And he
Hmm.
just switched his flip. Like he flipped the switch right away and just said, "Oh, all right, he's cool. Just
Yeah.
turn your signal, whatever, and I'll see you later." But
Right.
he came in hard. He came in like I was already guilty and I did go to jail and I must be having something. I must be having some sort of weapon or what. But just because I had tattoos. Just because I had
Right.
tattoos. That's
Yeah. No.
that's
Sometimes they'll even come up and they'll even ask you the classic question, "Or are you on parole or probation?"
yeah, that
You
one.
know. And then
That
I've flipped the switch on them. I flipped the switch on them too. I told them, "Oh, are you under investigation through internal affairs for racial profiling against people of color, falsifying police reports, planning evidence,
whoa,
intimidation,
whoa,
retaliatory behavior? Shall I
wow.
continue?"
Yeah.
You
Cops
know.
love it when you incriminate yourself, right,
Yeah.
Lucky?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Lucky knows what to say so that they don't even say anything. They can't come at you with, when you start asking for things that they know are protocol to get information, like the report you asked for or whatever. Can you repeat what that is called again? The
Oh,
report?
it's called a FOIA request,
FOIA
Freedom of
request.
Information Act.
Right. So when you know that and you go to their station, they get all scared. They're like, "Oh shit.
Yeah. What
Yeah,
is he
what
here for? What do you need
what
it? Sometimes they'll even say, "What do you need it for?" They get
Yeah.
all nosy
Yeah.
about it.
It doesn't matter
But
what
they
you
should
need it
even
for.
ask you that question,
No, it
right?
shouldn't. It's a freedom of information. Like you said that you pulled me over. I was
Hmm.
there for 45 minutes and you said it was because of this call. Well, this call
Hmm.
doesn't exist.
So you
Where's the
lied.
call? He lied. That's
Yeah,
not a public servant. That's not a public servant. And look
that's
what,
why.
guys, can I say one thing though about to the police officers who are in the crossroads of things? You can't be real warriors if you're not going to stand up for the people you love.
Exactly.
All right? You
But you
good
know that
cops, you
you know
can't
some
be a true warrior if you don't stand up for the people you love. I just had to say that, brother. That's all.
exactly, and the Supreme Court has ruled that the police are not responsible for the safety of the citizens throughout the United States. The Supreme Court ruled that they are not responsible for our safety. As citizens of the United States, we are responsible for our own safety.
But that does not make sense. If they have the right to shoot and kill you and not go to jail for the rest of their life,
Hmm.
and then you're telling me that they're not there to protect me, then what are they protecting? What are
They're
they
just
protecting? That's something that we need to take our own, everyone just on your own self, start thinking, well, what are they protecting? I don't have the answer. We all have the answer collectively inside, right? We know the
yeah,
truth. The truth is the truth.
right.
And brother, points it out for us clearly. Clearly, he knows the truth. And his brave, it's really brave what you do, brother. To confront police officers with information is not something. I'm sure you know how it is in Los Angeles. It's not the best environment when it comes to dealing with the upper class of the poverty. The upper class, which is police officers, right? They're upper class. They can hurt you. They can get away with it. They can, there's no consequence. They're almost like a vaccine. You know what I
Right.
mean? They fucking have no consequence.
Right. I would like to give a shout out to San Joaquin Valley Transparency. This is a Chicano that goes out in the streets and films the police. He's a cop watcher slash First Amendment auditor. And there's a lot of First Amendment auditors out there, cop watchers that are Raza, members of La Raza,
Mm.
of our people, and other races too that are spread out through the nation, and they're popping up everywhere, and they're out there educating citizens like yourself and others on your rights when dealing with members of law enforcement.
And that's what we
And
need.
yeah, you can go onto YouTube and you can just type in cop watch, and
Hmm.
then all these guys will pop up, and you'll be surprised how many of them are raza. And there's even a guy from East Los. He calls himself East Los Audits, and he's out there doing his things out there, his
Nice.
thing out there in East LA. Yeah,
Yeah,
keeping the
no,
sheriff's department and the police in check.
absolutely. I mean, yeah, we need to protect ourselves, as you said. And if someone's going to come be a predator or come and harm us intentionally, then we have every right to maneuver in whichever way we can. And this information is sometimes they just take it for granted that you would take that extra step to find out what it is to protect yourself, right? Because we just fall in line with get in the car, get your hands behind your back, you're going with me. And if you don't know your rights and if you don't know how to question that, they'll take you away.
Yeah, exactly. And they'll book
It's
you
okay.
on
But
some trumped up charges.
here's where I'm gonna just take it and put a little bit of macro vision onto what we just said right there. What's the difference from that and the time they came on boats? There's no
Mm,
difference. They're still stealing you. They're
exactly.
still stealing you. Nothing's changed. It's just gotten modern. What do you think's changed? Nothing's changed. They're still robbing you. They're
Exactly.
robbing the children of like mom and dad. They come, oh, where's in jail? Oh, stolen.
Mm, mm,
Stolen. And some people are gonna go and conservative people will come on here and say, well, they were doing drugs or they were doing this. They were stolen, man. They were stolen.
right.
That's what they've been doing. They just sophisticated the art. They called it different things. They changed the name, right? But it's
I,
still stolen.
right. I have followers, many followers of the Caucasian persuasion, and they tell me all the time, not all the time, but once in a while, they say, you know what, that's very sad that law enforcement, that the police treat your people like that, because they don't act like that in our communities. They're the hero that rescues the cat from the tree or helps the old lady cross the street. They're the neighbor next door that says, "Hey, how you doing, Jim? I was at the Delmar stables the other day. I watched your daughter ride. She's quite the equestrian."
Mm,
Stuff like that. Very neighborly, very friendly. And in our neighborhoods, I told them, in our neighborhoods, if you don't know your rights, they're going to have you on the ground with a gun to your head, or telling you, if you move, I'm going to shoot you.
mm.
And
Yeah, no, it's very different. Well, here's the way I see it. When you describe maybe a suburban neighborhood with nice neighbors who call on the cops when they need it, well, it's easy to call on people to protect land that was stolen, right? It's like we're all in the same cahoots, right? The cops, the landowner, they're in the same cahoots. We're protecting the stolen land we took from the natives. Nothing has changed. Nothing has
no.
changed. Nothing has changed. It's the same thing. When they came with boats and they put the fences up and they said, now we're going to protect this square of land or
Mhm.
this fenced off area. This is our,
Right.
and it just got bigger and bigger and bigger. And now it turned into neighborhoods. And now the white people are living there comfortably. And now they call on the cops to go protect
Mhm.
their fences.
Mhm.
Nothing has changed from when they first landed here. The only thing that has changed is the ability to connect with our own mother and the great shift of 2012. That's what
Right.
brings warriors back, like brother, myself, and many, many, many others.
Ever since I was a kid, I always thought that this world moved too fast for me. Even to this day, it just moves too fast. And there's a lot. I just feel like displaced here. Many moons ago, my mother told me, she goes, mijo, she goes, I think you have your body houses an old spirit that lived a long time ago, and
Oh,
you're back here for some reason, and it's very hard for you. And because I used to complain a lot, I used to tell her this, I don't like this place, mom. I don't like it. I don't like this life here. This world moves too fast. She goes, it's because your soul, you have an old soul,
mm.
and but you have to serve your purpose here. You have a purpose. That's why you're here, you know. And I look at that, as being an older adult, and I still think the same way. My wife, she hears it from me. I don't, just moves too fast. Cars, everything moves too fast,
Mm.
but I'm here, and I got to do what I got to do in order to help my people.
And it shows. It shows. Your heart shows, brother. you you, a lot of people feel like when I say your heart shows, when I say your heart shows, it means that you're not afraid to wear the jewelry you wear. You're not afraid to represent a dead culture,
Mm,
right? You're not afraid to say, I am this, because that's what they wanted. They wanted us to completely do what your friend did, except, you know, 100 years from now was him saying, I don't want to be native. I don't want to be thrown in a reservation. I don't want to be taken advantage of.
mm,
But it just hit the next life became Mexican because of
yeah,
the rape. So now he doesn't want to be Mexican. He doesn't
exactly.
want to, and he's turning away from his own self. And then he meets a brother like yourself who doesn't. He doesn't turn away from himself.
Mm,
He embraces it.
yeah.
Anybody who challenges, even if you have a badge, even if you have a uniform, that's you, my brother. I'm so happy to meet you
So I
and
want to
share our
ask you
Thank
community
you,
with you.
brother.
I want to ask you a question, Zero. Like
Yo,
you growing up in East LA, in the
yeah.
hood, in the Vadio, Boyle Heights, out of all places,
Mm.
how were you able to stray away from the quote unquote gang lifestyle?
Music, music, music saved my life. Music saved my life, and the epiphanies that brother was explaining, the the not wanting to conform to killing our own people. No way.
Exactly.
No way. Never. That was such a that was not even a and I'm not trying to say that others that made that decision and stuff like that. Everybody's circumstance is different, but I too feel like my brother right here that I have a soul that dances through lifetimes.
Mm,
You know, we dance through lifetimes. It takes us a while to get the hang of it, but once we get our age to the age that we are, We're solid, we're rooted,
Mm.
we're focused, and we share, and we help others.
So did
True
you?
warriors help the people they love.
So Zero, did you have homies or friends that you were close with back in the day that were all about the gang life?
Yes.
And you didn't discriminate against them, and
No.
you still hung out with them,
Absolutely.
and then what was their
I knew to
response?
duck around them. I knew every time it was us hella slow, I knew to walk away. But
So
no,
how about you, Lucky? In your youthful days, what were your circumstances when it came to the gang culture?
The same, pretty much the same. One of my sisters, I have four sisters. One of my sisters got into the gang life real heavy. I mean, she was like no nonsense homegirl. She was hardcore,
mm,
and so her homeboys were like family to us. They're always at the house. Every once in a while, they would drop off because they would get killed or end up going to prison or something, And I always saw that as nonsense, man. I was like, what the heck's going on with these people? Most beautiful people to me in my heart and my soul. La Raza is the most beautiful people on Mother Earth.
mm,
The cultura and everything, the art, the food, the camaraderie, everything,
mm,
and beautiful. And it didn't make any sense to me for them to be behaving the way that they are. I have like this Emiliano Zapata mentality where I believe right now to this day that anyone that is raza that makes war against their own people is straight out committing the act of treason. You're a traitor to your people. Straight out, there's no ifs, ands, buts about it. There's no sugarcoating it when it comes from me. You're a traitor to your people,
mm,
especially nowadays when you're seeing all the stuff that's going on with the racism and stuff, and you're still continuing perpetuating that gang banging life. You are committing treason against your own people. You are committing the act of treason. You should not call yourself raza. You should not fly the green, white, and red with the brown eagle destroying the serpent while perched on a cactus in the middle of a lake. You do not deserve it. And if you continue to fly these colors, the colors that you fly are nothing more than toilet paper that I use to wipe my ass, because that is not the example of true racism. That is not. Killing your own people over something that you could never buy, sell, nor own does not make sense. And you continue to with that behavior, you're a traitor to your people. Straight out traitor. That's how I think about it. That's coming from the heart. Because you know what? I grew up around all of this stuff. I grew up around all of this, never ever participated in it because I saw the bigger picture. Raza against raza, that's fucking bullshit. I
mm,
ain't doing that. I ain't with that program. Fuck that. I'm gonna stick to my native guns, and I stuck to my native guns since I was a youngster till now. And some of my best compadres, in and out of prison, have played the whole gang bang role, the gang life, and everything like that. But they know me and they respect me for my point of view,
mm.
you know. But
We
that's how
definitely
it
need,
is,
we
you know.
definitely need unity, and we need a different perspective when it comes to our community.
Right.
That perspective has to be solid and rooted. And
Exactly.
the times of manipulation and look, when I talk about prison or jail, I could just, for some reason, my spirit understands what it was like 50, 60, 70 years jail before, right? Maybe even 100 years jail before. Like, I just feel like I know nothing much has changed if you look at it through common sense, right? Through common sense, you'll understand that when people are robbed from their loved ones and put into cages and put in with other individuals who maybe didn't have anything, that mixture creates chaos, but a chaos of self-hatred and a hopelessness that becomes violent. This is a scientific project that they've been working on for hundreds of years. This isn't new. It just got more sophisticated. But guess
Exactly.
what? But guess what? Maybe you're a genius at that. White man, colonizer,
Mhm.
oppressor, elite. Maybe you're a
Mhm.
genius at that.
Privileged.
But you're not a genius at creating societies. You're not a genius at creating food that is profound and will heal you. You're not a genius at communicating with the creator itself, Mother Earth and Father Sky. You're not a genius at that.
Mm.
So it's crumbling right in front of your face.
It is crumbling. I've noticed that, and there's a lot of civil unrest, and it's all coming to the surface. And I think that I think the death of George Floyd behind his circumstances helped to bring that even more to the forefront. And we could talk about, or people could talk about his behavior and what he's done when he was alive and some of the mistakes that he made. But as a black man being murdered by a white police officer, that just made a
You
big
know,
ripple effect.
for me, obviously, yeah, George Floyd during the pandemic and all the racism going on, but there was a death to me that was very, very important that led up to everything that's happening now. And I'm gonna name it. That death of Dr. Sabi was huge during this time
Mm,
because he went to court and they were trying to put him in jail because he was saying, "Oh, you can't cure cancer. There's no cure for cancer. There's no
mm,
cure for AIDS. There's no cure for these diseases that you're supposedly curing. There's no cure." So they went through the trials. I don't know if you know the story of Dr. Sabi, but they went through the trials. He wins the case, right? Because he goes, "Look, all they have to do is change their diet and stop doing this and stop doing that, and the body will heal itself." Well, we're in a situation now where people are questioning health and just going, "Oh, just give it to me." It's like almost a new version of reality, right? Because you can no longer have control of healing yourself. And when you take out the one dude that could tell you that you can heal yourself and then create this sickness and rules and law and all this other stuff that go along with everything we're talking about, because people are getting arrested for being against the grain. We try not to be too specific, but you know what situation I'm talking about. But those key deaths, that one, George Floyd, all these things just come together and they create this big mess, right?
mm,
A genius colonizer knowing how to build his own trash can and living in it.
mm,
That's it. That's the way I look at their societies, is just a big giant dump.
mm,
Yo, I'm just tripping out on this conversation here, Zero, because I remember when I was a teenager, I thought it was cool to be part of a gang or have friends that were part of a gang or know someone that was part of a gang, right? And I was always caught up in that life, trying to, hang out with the cool people and shit. And it wasn't until I played, I think it was the Black and Red Ink, where like literally verbatim, all these topics that we're talking about, you were just spilling your guts on your production with, with Victory's lyrics, and then the Jaguar Prophecies, even more mind blowing, to let me know as a youth that there is another side. Don't let them
Yeah.
brainwash you.
Yeah. Yeah. No, Hollywood plays a big role in in our
Your
perception.
projects were the first projects to let me know, like, why are we killing each other?
Well, Hollywood plays a big role in our perception. It
mm.
trains us. It trains us. These movies train us, right? We go, "Oh, look, they survive in jail. It's not that bad." And then you go to real jail and you're like, "Fuck, this place is fucking a hellhole." It wasn't like that in the movies.
It glamorizes it.
They glamorized. They made it look like, yeah, that guy. Look at how easy he gets away from the cops.
Mhm.
But try to get away from the cops for reals, they'll shut down the whole block. They'll put
Yeah.
fucking 900 fucking cops. It's not like the movies.
Getting shot in the leg and still running.
Yeah, all that
Yeah.
bullshit. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, oh yeah, check it out. I could outrun the helicopter. Yeah, right.
Mhm. Yeah.
There's no outrunning a helicopter. You're gone.
Mhm.
You're caught. And that's where I think your work is precious, my brother. Informing youth to know that there is a different road. That this Hollywood glamorized version of gangster, right? What really killed it? They Scarfaced our race. That's what happened. They Scarfaced our race.
Mm.
And look who did it. Look who did it, Armando. Who Scarfaced our race? Al Pacino, an Italian.
Mm.
An Italian convinced us to be the dopest gangster in the world because he was Cuban.
Mm.
A white actor.
Mm.
Mind blowing.
Absolutely.
Mind blowing.
Mm.
That's why we get caught up in fucking jail. That's why we go, oh yeah, look at all the coke I have. Look at all the, oh, blah, blah, fuck, everybody's in there. Now you're in jail forever. What happened to Scarface? Don't believe Hollywood.
No,
It's a lie. It's all a lie.
it's a big fairy tale.
Big time.
So, Lucky, I want to ask you what, when you first jumped on Instagram,
Right.
right? And to where your page is at now, man, it's a very influential page, brother.
I love it.
It's a delegate page for me because it's like, your page is the truth. 2Tears.
I don't
You know-
really thank you for for saying that, because sometimes I don't even trip on that, man. I really don't. I mean, it's humbling, to for someone, for people to tell me these things, because people say you're an inspiration, or I love your words. Your words are powerful, and I don't really dwell or think about that. I have something in my head, and boom, I'll just put it out there, and hopefully somebody will get something from it, something out of it.
Well, that's the way all great speakers are. They just follow their heart. We get confused that we think that all the answers are in the mind, and they're not. They're not in the mind. They're in your blood.
Mm.
Your blood creates a feeling. That feeling goes into your throat, and your mind translates what it needs to say.
Right.
But it comes from here. It's a feeling. It has no words. It just is this intention, this deep, profound love that I feel these ancient warrior spirits have. They know to look into the beauty of a child, hold them, and feel their innocence, and know that that innocence needs to be protected, guided, loved, and not lied to. And we haven't experienced that for 500 years.
Right.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
Zero, you had mentioned, that the Conejo crowd is not your crowd. But I noticed
It's not my usual crowd.
right.
It's my crowd.
But I
it's
noticed
not my usual crowd.
But I noticed that you get pumped to
Oh, I love it.
perform in
love
front of
it.
that crowd.
Oh, I love it.
Because I would think the whole goal is to at least get a couple cats to actually hear you and for them to wake up.
Well, they all hear me.
And that's what Lucky 2Tears does.
Yeah.
Right?
They all hear me though. They all hear me. That's just coming out of the big ass system. It's they're hearing me. Are they afraid to look into their own mirror and go, I'm a great person? It's hard to, those individuals don't do the stand in front of a mirror and just look at yourself and see what mind thoughts go into your mind when you look at yourself. That's an ancient teaching, right? They don't do that. But when I go on stage, real quick, but when I go on stage, that happens, I believe. They look at themselves and they go, wow, for a second, that was brilliant. They're saying, wow, I really liked your music. No, they liked what they felt in their heart. And all they felt was themselves, because I wasn't in their body. You understand how it works? That's the mirror that we're talking about, that the ancients talked about. But it's a good practice to stand in front of a mirror and look at yourself and see what thoughts come out. And if you don't like those thoughts, then work on changing them. That's how we fix ourselves.
So, what's your answer to a kid that goes up to you and tells you, well, I'm a product of my environment? You know that term?
I think you're lazy. I think you're being lazy if you're going to just claim that you're a product of your environment.
I think it's a cop out. I think it's a poor excuse.
Yeah, it's being lazy.
Yeah.
Be thriving. They didn't say that to LeBron James. I mean, LeBron James fucking became a mega superstar. He came from a shitty environment. Was he a product of his environment? Right? Yeah, he's great. Your environment's great. You live on a beautiful earth that's so blue and gives water and gives the right fruits and has beautiful animals all around you. And yeah, you are a product of your environment. But if you think that your environment is the city that has streets, corrupt officials, people who don't care about your safety, I don't know about, I question that. What do you feel, brother?
Me,
Yeah,
I feel the same way. I'm right on point with you.
absolutely. Absolutely. Because I feel like when I see your post, brother, I was like, man, this brother's strong. This brother is really strong. Even just your pictures, bro. Really. I mean, I was like, man, I love the way he just rooted himself. And it just seems like you cannot be pushed over by anything or anyone. And that's beautiful. And that's the way we all need to be.
Thank
So
you, brother.
there's a comment here that someone brought up about the zoot suit
Mm.
society back in the day. How at one point they were trying to categorize that as like what, gangsters?
Well, but you know the story of
Because
Zoot
that
Suit.
was before.
Do you want to tell the story? Do you know the story of the Zoot Suiters and stuff like that, brother?
No, not too much. No.
Well, this is what I know. Okay, there was a port in Long Beach that had Navy sailors. They would port there back in the day in the 40s, and they would get drunk and drive into East LA, Boyle Heights area, and look at all the funny Mexicans who were trying to dress like the black people during the time, the jazz clubs and all that stuff. But they did their own flair. They put a feather, they made it bigger, they did their own thing. And these sailors thought that that was funny. So you know what they used to do? They used to go beat them up and take their clothes off and make them walk home naked.
Yeah.
Yeah, they used to, I don't want to say it, but maybe rape the women too.
Yeah, I saw the Sleepy Lagoon documentary.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was horrible. They would go, and this was the fun thing to do. Let's drive around East LA and pick on the Zooters until they all said, "Fuck yeah, come on, let's go, homies. They're here, let's go." And then they started getting into fights and losing fights, and then they started crying, and the police got involved, and that was a major riot. We stood up for ourselves, and they didn't like that. They didn't like that we would band together and take care of ourselves. So they had to corrupt it. Oh, you want to take care of yourselves? Okay, well, we're going to build this big old building, and we're going to put all of you in it. And that's when they started arresting people, kids, 10-year-old guys, 10-year-old kids, because someone over there was drinking. You're with them. Come on, you get out of here. I'm gonna bring in a brother who did his PhD on the incarceration culture, how we became the incarceration culture. We started having too many kids in Los Angeles, so they needed to recruit racist cops, and they promised them houses and bonuses, and because we needed to round up these guys. And what ended up happening is a prison culture. When I grew up, there was a brother that was in my neighborhood who's all, I'm on vacation. Well, you're on vacation? What are you talking about? Yeah, I'm on vacation. What are you talking about, bro? Yeah, I'll be going back to prison, home. He thought home was prison, and that the outside world was vacation. That's prison culture.
Did he rap?
No, this is this is prior to Scarfacing our race, but those are the experiences that I had where we have a culture where we think.
So can I ask you, why do the major music industries and these labels glorify the gangster lifestyle and the culture, and they kind of just sign these mega deals with these rappers, just continuing to move forward with that garbage?
Because it sells, it's entertaining, and it brings money, and they buy stocks in the prisons. Those same executive record industry people,
It's genius for them, right?
fucking buy the same stock of the privately owned prison, and you can buy stock, and then the more we fill it up, the more we get money. And yeah, put out that guy. He's really bad. Let's put him on. Yeah, that fool's fucking really dangerous. Let's make him the best hip hop artist. Give him $5 million. You give anybody $5 million to promote a record, they're gonna be a hit. So there's a system to this, but again, if we just say, if we cop out like brother put it out there and say, well, I'm just a product of my environment. Mm-mm. Okay, if we're going to take that statement, we're a product of the environment, then be the product of Tonantzin, right? Be the product of Tonatu. That's your
Exactly.
environment. That's your environment. And I know the brother right there, he just agreed with me.
That's right.
Hopefully one day when we could plan out maybe a little workshop and bring Lucky out to the Malalani Superfoods. And, I
Absolutely.
would love to
Ooh,
see him
man,
live. I would love to see him live.
to have like maybe a rights workshop. Like know your rights against police officers, know what
Oh,
to
there you go.
say, know how to say it.
Right.
Some sort of that type of curriculum. Not to be. We have to be very careful because we don't want to have these young kids go out there and think that they're doing something that you really put your time into knowing what brother has, because you're not just coming off the cuff. I know you've
No.
studied extensively. And
Yeah, you have to.
talk a little bit about that. How deep do you have to go so that you know these things? Because I didn't know
Well,
you could go to the police station and quote what you said. So I'm sure that you've done massive, massive hours of
yeah,
investigation.
you could even do FOIA requests on their body cam footage too, for your
Wow.
own personal use, and you could also do FOIA requests on their entire work history,
Hmm.
their salary, um, how many people they've arrested, how many people they've shot, in the line
Wow.
of duty. A lot of this is listed on there, and that's public record. You have the right to know this
Huh.
because they're public servants. They are employed to serve our communities as public servants. So when you think that they're slipping up or they made a mistake or whatever, just say, okay, I'll just go to the police station and I'll just find out what you're all about.
Right. So
Can
And
I
you,
ask you, Lucky? Are the body cams your friend? Is that something that someone like a youngster could feel like, look, at least I'm being filmed? Because sometimes these cops could care less that they're wearing a body cam, right?
yeah, and sometimes they'll how do you say, redact it or something like that. They'll purposely erase the footage, or they'll claim that it was lost or something like that. That's why it's so important for us to film them.
Mm.
So I guess shit was getting so bad. There were so many of these liars and pieces of shits in the law enforcement, so they had to roll out body cams.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like Lucky said, there's always a way to protect yourself, and you have to just have tools around you, have the heart of steel, have deep, deep roots to defend yourself. Because that's what somebody back in the day, like just picture like Stagecoach and back in the day, the sheriff with his little tin fucking thing. And he was out there and he goes into your ranch and says, well, you know what? You stole the shit. I'm taking you. You got to learn to protect yourself. You're not
Right.
taking me. I have rights. What are you talking about? Get off my land. It's just like the way they explain it. Get off my land.
Well, we have a comment here. Someone says that basically there's a difference between a cop and a pig.
Well,
That,
yeah. I mean,
that's true.
yeah. I mean, there's someone who has normal health and someone who has psychosis, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
look, just don't get the humanity. I can only say it this way: don't let a uniform strip you of your humanity.
Exactly.
Don't let a uniform strip you of your humanity. No matter what the captain says, no matter what the mayor says, no matter what the governor says, no matter what the president says,
Right.
don't let a uniform strip your humanity, because you're the one that pays for that consequence. You think those rich elites feel bad? No, you killed them. They're going to say, that guy killed them, not me. Yeah, I gave the order, but I didn't pull the trigger. So then you're responsible for that death. Now that death is on your hands, and they can care less. That's what makes it a brilliant system for these elites, is that their hands are clean, supposedly, and they're washed of everything, right? I didn't do it.
Oh, and I just want to update you, Bud Green, the individual in the chat that mentioned the difference between cops and pigs. That's it's Danahawk. It's
Oh,
Daniel.
Daniel. What's up, Daniel? Daniel. Miss you, bro. Yeah,
You
that's my
know,
brother. He's from the Bay Area too.
you
You're from the
know,
Bay Area, right?
Who, me?
Yeah.
I live down in the San Diego area.
Oh, San Diego. I'm sorry. I thought you said Bay Area.
No.
look, when I was growing up as a kid, my father he he was always telling me like, look, when cops pull you over, do exactly what you're told to do. I I I
No.
I, I rebelled against that, bro.
Yeah. Well,
You know,
it's hard to give away your humanity like that. It's kind of hard to just go,
and like to this day, whenever I get pulled over, I get scared.
yeah, well, you should be. You should be scared. A predator has caught you by the foot, and there's a 50-50 chance you're going to walk away from that.
Yeah, you
That's
got
the
to
way
make
we have
sure
to.
that they have a legitimate reason for stopping you. If it's a
Yeah.
minor, if it's a minor traffic infraction, and they approach your window, you don't have to roll your window down all the way for one. You can keep it like maybe like a couple inches like this, in
Mm,
order for you to hand them the proper documents, and keep your answers to the question very at a minimum.
mm,
If they're you hand them everything that they need. Okay, I pulled you over for a busted tail light. Okay,
mm,
can I see your license, registration, everything? Okay, you hand it to them through the window like this, and they say, okay, where are you coming from and where are you going? That's none of their business. They don't need to
mm,
know that.
mm,
um, so is this where you live? Is this your name right here? Excuse me, officer. Everything that I gave you is right there. All the information you need is right there. I'm not going to answer any questions.
mm,
You have the right to tell them, I don't answer questions. Your information is right there.
mm,
And number two, if you have a passenger with you, some cops will try to question the passenger. By law, their scope of authority begins and ends with the driver and the driver only. They have no business to question passenger or passengers in the
mm.
vehicle, especially if it's not a felony type stop, just a minor infraction. But they'll try to question the passengers. They'll try to pull you from the vehicle. They'll try to search it. If you don't know your rights, they'll get away with all kinds of stuff
Hmm.
just
Interesting.
on a minor traffic infraction.
Well, yeah, they feel like you don't have any rights.
Yeah.
Like I said, you're on the lower class of echelon, right? Because you're immediately guilty. Like you explained the police officer stop process to a T. You're already
Right.
guilty. I
Right.
already have you. Kind of like back in the days of Stagecoach. I already have you in my possession. I'm gonna get my $5 for your head.
Yep. And record the stop. Always, you have the right to record. There's a penal code. It's PC 148G, which gives a citizen the right to record and or take pictures of. Well, record is most important thing, to record the police while in the course of their duties.
Hmm.
PC 148 subsection G, and the First Amendment of the Constitution will give you the right to film the police.
Wow. See,
Yeah.
all this is good information, and I would love to have him come down and do like a, know your rights kind of workshop. We can work that out. And this is amazing talking to you, brother. You have a heart of the ancestors, man, and you know your stuff. And I'm glad that you're sharing that information with our Alley Natives community in a good way. We're not here to try to start riots and stuff. We're here to just
No.
know and defend ourselves in a good way because we're not violent people, but we will protect ourselves. That's
Exactly.
all I could really say. We're not violent. We don't come to oppress. We don't come
Right.
to take ownership of you.
In
Although
the
the way they feel, right? They feel they could do that.
right as I grown into the movement, when I hit my 20s, I was trying to think of an idea. What can I do in order to take the message to the streets, uh, regarding my feelings on raza killing raza? So in 1996, I came up with this idea. Maybe I should do a walk, like a peace walk through the different neighborhoods, promote barrio unity.
Mm,
So in November of 1996, Dia de los Muertos, me and a few other individuals, we just picked up these Mexican flags, and we started from the Chicano Park in Barrio Logan. You guys are familiar with Chicano Park, right?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I-
We started in the Chicano Park area, and we trekked through the brown neighborhoods of Southeast San Diego into National City. Every Sunday for 17 years, we did this activity called the Barrio Unity Walk.
Wow.
So we carried these flags. A lot of people, people would ask, well, what's the purpose of the Mexican flag? This is America, this, and that. Even the cops would ask, what's the purpose of the flag? And I explained to them that the purpose of the flag is the Mexican flag is a tool that we use to promote unity between the warring factions. So if they're going to respect anything when you're trekking through their neighborhoods, they're going to respect those colors because it represents them
Mm.
as a whole. So with the unity walk, I was really successful with that walk. I didn't have never had any static with the homeboys from the different neighborhoods. Never. If anything, if there was anything, it was trying. It was the police trying to undermine the activity, the walk.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you were on these walks, and I want to hear it from you, Lucky, when you bump into a kid
Mhm.
from the barrio, you already could tell he's running, on the wrong path.
Right.
In a few words, like when you pull him to the side and you try to talk to him, what would you tell this kid?
We pretty much just tell him how important it is for him to live his life as um, in the ways of the true meaning of Chicanoism or Mexicanoism. Not what he sees around himself, all the negativity and everything. For him to stand up on his own. When I would get approached by youngsters, it was always because, oh, I really like what you do, man. You're representing us and this and that. And then I just go off of that, just tell them, you see what I'm doing? You could do the same thing by, staying in school. Education is so important for La Raza. Education is the key, and we have to, well, why? Why is education the key? Why should I stay in school? Because we have to learn, we have to know and learn how our oppressors think. That's how we gain that upper hand, is when we have the same intellect. Our best defense is having the same intellect as them.
Mm.
you know
How about you, Zero? You're in East LA. You're in Boyle Heights, out of all cities. I know you run into a lot of youngsters. For example, there was apparently a situation going down near the shop. I don't want to talk about it, but it's real.
intense.
It's real.
We're not in the
Yeah, I
nice
don't want to talk
neighborhood.
about it, but man, Zero, it was.
We're not in
You
the nice
you know
neighborhood.
what I'm talking about.
I
It
know
just I was
exactly.
shook. I was just like, yo, are you serious? And it's a youngster,
Yeah. Yeah.
possibly a minor.
Yeah.
You know.
What he's talking about, brother Lucky, is that my shop's on Whittier Boulevard,
Mm.
right? I don't know if you know about Whittier Boulevard, but that's the cruising central, right?
Yeah, I've been through there.
Yeah, and with social media being what it is, it became super popular. Like
Mm.
people from far come to Whittier Boulevard on Saturday and Sunday, and they go show off their cars, and they have their own group. And so I could tell that this individual was not from around there because he came out, he jumped out, and he tried to, you know, flex, right? The
Mm.
way everyone flexes. But people in East LA don't do that. They don't pop out of cars and flex. If they're gonna pop out of a car, they're gonna do something bad, you know. And I just knew that this brother wasn't from around there, and so it's real that we buy into this fake thug gladiator European version of tough. Tough is what Lucky does. Tough is going into neighborhoods with no fear, saying we're all one people.
Exactly.
That to me is tough. Not scaring people with a toy that you're afraid to use yourself, if you know what I mean.
Right.
You can brandish any kind of harmful, tool that people use to hurt each other. But true warriors will go in there with no arms, go into difficult neighborhoods with no weapons, and claim peace. That's tough. That's warriors.
Mm.
That to me is honorable and respectable. And not to say that kids having a hard time and finding their road in life and they feel misdirected or feel some sort of security with a toy that was invented by an oppressor elite to hurt your own people. Those are the things that we need to question. That's what I would, this is the type of conversation I would be having with this individual. Like, why would you want to hurt your own people? I have no gun, man. How does that make you feel tougher than me when I don't even have a gun and you do? That's not tough. That's like a Spaniard going with a big old sword and a native that has nothing, and he feels dominant.
Mm.
That's not dominance. That's psychotic.
Yeah.
I'm just putting a different perspective in people's ears and in their eyes.
If there's anyone watching this, add a comment into the YouTube channel and tell us your experiences with law enforcement, or if you were a quote unquote gangbanger or running with the wrong crowd, how did you transition out? Anyone watching this, anyone hearing this, just go ahead and chime in, add into the comment section.
Absolutely.
You know, we want to hear from you guys.
All-
Everyone has
Good
a
question.
story.
All voices are important.
Oh yeah,
All voices are important.
from all perspectives.
Yeah. We
Yeah.
understand. Like, I know Lucky and we have an understanding for Raza or people that are having a hard time in life. We don't just condemn, we have to have compassion. We have to be the greatest warriors, they say, would walk into the battlefield not fearing their death, right? But embracing it, looking forward to it, not in a ego way, but your heart keeps you on this earth as long as you need to be.
Exactly. Some people ask me and they say, you're all into your tribe, the whole native Yaqui thing, and but what is this? What is this? What draws you to La Raza? To help La Raza. I go, first of all, I'm Yaqui. We're the ones who, if you know anything about our history, we're the ones who fought alongside of the Mexicans during their little revolutions. So we're talking about many moons later, 2021, and here's a Yaqui still riding alongside of La Raza, trying to help La Raza any way I can, you know. But at the same time, I keep my I'm there for La Raza, but I keep my distance, because
Oh,
I have my own beliefs, I have my own ceremony, I have my own circle, my sacred hoop, like my sister Claudia Crow talk, and others that we gather and we smudge and we pray, and which is a whole different trip than La Raza. It's like a different level of culture, with the full blown natives, and the way that we commune with Mother Earth and Father Sky and Brother Moon and everything like that. It's a whole different trip. It blows people's minds, and that's why we keep our circle tight. But at the same time, I walk away from that in order to see what I can do for La Raza, or how I could help the Raza, become more self-reliant and more positive. You know,
well, I think it comes from turning away from colonial answers.
right?
What you just described that your inner circle does is what La Raza has always done, but they do it
Mm,
in private or they do it in their own way.
mm,
No one can tell me here that when you're Catholic, all those ritual stuff that they do as a Catholic, like I'm talking about like the jefitas, the old
mm,
abuelas, they come into the Malinali shop all the time.
mm,
And I'm turning them on to plant-based food, but I don't try to question their belief system.
right.
But what I'm trying to point out is that they just transferred that energy into that. It's still very much the same as smudging down, giving thanks to the earth, giving thanks to this. It's very similar. They couldn't just take that away from us because we would fight to the death to continue to do our rituals.
Right.
So they just have to change them. It's like these people are listening, so let's make this Virgin Mary her.
Mm,
It's like they just invent things so that we can continue to ritualize these things because we're very ritualistic people. My
mm,
mother-in-law just, I'm over here at the sacred church and I'm praying for your relationship and I'm praying for your family and I'm praying for your. They're very ritualistic people.
mm,
We are very ritualistic people, and I think, brother Lucky, we need to bring that ritualism, the sacred, the righteous ones were the ones that were not afraid anymore to do it. Because back in 100 years from now, you would get really seriously hurt
Yeah.
trying to do that stuff, right? And it wasn't until the 70s where they released the Sweat Lodge. The
Right.
70s, the 70s, my friend. It
Wow.
wasn't that long ago where they started letting us practice our own rituals. Before
Wow.
that, it was against the law.
Wow.
The 70s. This is where we're at. We need to bring back our truth. What is our power? Our power is our connection with Mama Tonantzin. Our power is the connection with the animals that fly into those trees. Our connection is with the hummingbirds that fly across our path. Those are real powerful things. But the white man said, nah, that's just an animal. He's separate from you.
Right.
This Mother Earth is separate from you. No, it's not. It's never been separate from me. 500 years ago, you tried to convince me that it was separate from me. And now 2021, and I'm still trying to tell you it's not separate from me. That's the way I feel.
So we have a few questions for you, Lucky. The chat is going wild. I really appreciate everyone engaging and commenting.
brother.
We got
Absolutely.
Heron asking you a question, Lucky. He's asking you, how do you feel about the AMLO giving back to the Yaqui people in Mexico?
How are you going to give back something that we've always had?
Good answer.
Good answer.
Great answer.
Because there's some people that'll say, they have that mentality that natives, how come you're not on the reservation? How come you don't live on the res? And I said, you know what? This is our land, man. This is Turtle Island. Everywhere we step is our land. Everywhere we stand is our land, from the barrios of East Los to Bedford Stuy to down there in Florida and into Mexico. It's our land. It's been given different names and borders and and the reservation is just, to me, is just some type of um, oppressive concentration camp. you know this is our land everywhere.
Absolutely. I love that answer. I love that answer. Why should I feel happy about something they never possessed anyways? Right?
Yeah.
If you make a man's I shouldn't even say man. If you make an agreement with a community and break that agreement, then your contract is null and void. You own nothing.
Right.
You own nothing. And you've broken every single treaty. Every single treaty was just like fake. You didn't have any intention to follow it.
Right.
You didn't have any intention to follow it. That is just. So then, in my opinion, I feel like Lucky does. You own nothing. Yeah, you may have papers, right?
Mhm.
Written down words on papers,
Right.
but that doesn't mean you own anything.
Right.
Only people that agree with that paper say that you own it. Only people that agree. And that person usually is a judge that's on your side because you're following their system. See, Lucky's not following their system. He's not. He's saying, your contracts are void with me. Your agreements are void with me. Your great-great-grandfather said something and he didn't follow through, so you don't have any voice with me. And I'm going to step on a Nawak, on Turtle Island, wherever, whenever, however I feel, because my connection is deeper than your paperwork.
Exactly. Good one. I like that.
That's the way I feel about you, brother. I just described you
Thank
and
you.
how you walk on this earth.
So Daniel Bud Green says, Mexican means you have a belly button. We came out of our mother, not our father.
Absolutely. Our Mother Earth is the main principle: respect, love, honor, connection. Never separate from that beautiful, beautiful being that we call Mother Earth.
Yeah, as a child, I've always believed, and no one's ever taught me about spirituality or religion or anything like that. There's just some things I just know to be fact, hopefully. You know, growing up, I've always pictured or thought of God or the creator as woman, because people are always painting God as being a male entity or spirit or whatever, this creator being man. I always thought of the creator, how can someone how can man create life? Only woman can create life. Man cannot create life. Only woman can give birth to everything. And to me, I believe that the Great Spirit is woman, and she gave birth to everything that exists.
I believe I love paying respects to um, the women because they've suffered so much and they're so fragile and delicate and they're so precious. But when you give a woman an ability to have voice, when you give, and then what I mean is by breaking the patriarchal understanding that you have grown up with, right? I was just talking to some abuelas that come to our shop, and they were saying, "Oh, that's interesting that you decided to think that way, because not most men don't think that way. They think that we should be quiet and listen to what the man has to say, and and that's not what you're describing, Lucky. You're describing the opposite of that. Sometimes you have to listen, even though it's hard to listen to a woman, and she calls you out on her truth, and you have to humbly stay there and break the patriarchal understanding that you know more. And sometimes it leads to enlightening, but what it really leads to is true love, because you're humbled to your partner's experience. And the one lady that was in there today, the abuela that was in there today, that's what we live for. Us women, we live for that connection, that male and female connection. If we can go back to that and protect that with all of our life and our heart, then our community will change.
We got Zero of El Vuh. We got the one and only, the legend himself, Lucky 2Tears Morales, man. Everyone follow him on Instagram.
Please.
He's such a powerful influencer in this
Yeah.
community.
And he
the
knows
Mexica
his
movement,
rights. And he knows his rights, and he has beautiful words for our community.
Oh,
right?
thank you, brother. Yeah, you can get at me on my Instagram at lucky underscore 2Tears, LUCKY underscore TEARS.
Absolutely, brother.
Underscore the number two TEARS. Lucky underscore 2Tears.
Yes, Lucky, I just want to thank you for supporting this podcast. I know you've been following us for a good minute, and you engage and you see the work that we do here, man. It means so much to get the attention from someone like yourself, bro, like a real one, right, Zero?
Absolutely. I know there's
Oh,
hundreds of.
I dig what you guys are doing. I love your show. Your whole vibe, what you got going on, what you're trying to do for the our people of indigenous roots and blood, and I dig that. I try to follow the best of the best right back. And if you notice, I'm always tagging you with
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. Yes. We appreciate that. We appreciate that because it just shows solidarity, that our
Yeah.
message is the same. You know, sticking up for indigenous people. We're not going to be pushed around anymore.
No.
No, that's
Nope.
enough. And enough killing each other.
I just showed you
Exactly.
that video, right,
Yeah.
of this woman in Riverside, this teacher. I don't know. There's a video going around, going viral, of this lady just absolutely making a mockery of herself.
Well, she just doesn't understand the pain that comes with it, man. Like,
Oh, are you talking about that teacher in the classroom?
yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous right there. How can she even behave like that in front of the kids?
It's
It
just
sounds
that
like she's
they don't
hasn't
under-
taken.
they don't understand the trauma that comes with that.
Yeah, she looked like she hadn't taken her medication or something that morning or whatever.
You know,
Even to behave like that, that's I could see if she put on the feathers and just said like a couple, two, three, a couple things here and there, but like dancing around like that and hopping and screaming and stuff like that, it made me think, okay, this is kind of like, was this planned? Is the class in on it with her? You know, was it? It doesn't look like it was spontaneous. I don't know.
I
I don't know.
just
What do
feel
you guys think?
I just feel like she doesn't know the trauma that comes with that.
Culture vultures.
Yeah, they just don't understand the trauma because they feel like they see a movie and that movie came out with a happy outcome,
Yeah.
and somehow, some way, the natives got all their land, and it fools them into believing that we were fair with them,
Right.
and they forget that they have a lot of white privilege. The fact
Right.
that she could do that in front of a classroom of indigenous children who don't even know they're indigenous,
Mhm.
right? Because they've been forcefully taken away from that
Right.
through violence and torture, pedophilia,
Mhm.
kidnapping. And then here you go. You're like, put your little feathers on and let's do the powwow dance. I
What the heck?
just you don't understand the trauma, lady. The trauma is deep. The trauma is affecting us now. The trauma affects our own relationships with our own family. And you're walking around like a clown in front of kids.
That's what she looks like. Looks
It's
like a
just
clown.
it's not cool, and I don't agree with it. And I
Shout
think
out to the student though that actually noticed this, took full offense because he was native,
yeah,
and he was like, "Yo, this isn't right."
no, it's
So he
not.
pulled out his phone and started
Mhm.
recording his teacher, his math teacher.
And she probably paid $50 to go to a retreat that
Mhm.
somebody kind of knew a dance, and now she's doing it. Now she's this actually makes me laugh in a way. But, I really want to point out the seriousness of our trauma. We deal with some trauma that's not, you can't just go, well, that happened a long time ago and we're all happy now. See, everybody's in the classroom together. Isn't that what we wanted?
Mhm.
Yeah, but I have to go back to a violent neighborhood, poverty, below poverty living standard, and you get to go home to the suburbs.
Well, I want to see the outcry. I want to see people stand up and go to the school, just like how BLM does their thing and other organizations back up their own people and their tribe and their community. I would think, right, Lucky, that there has to be an outcry about this, right?
Right. Exactly. I have something to say about Black Lives Matter. People have asked me, members of Chicano groups, why don't you support the, or do you support the BLM movement? And I say, I have many good friends, African American, but I do not support Black Lives Matter, and this is the reason. One of my good friends is black. He's a former member of the Black Panther Party, and we looked at the bigger picture and stuff. And he said something that was very powerful, and it stuck with me. He said, "You know what? They should take that same message into the neighborhoods where our people are killing each other by the hundreds. They should take that same BLM message into the streets of Chicago, all these LA, all these other neighborhoods where black on black crime is out of control, and try to get them to listen to that message. I know that they have good intentions, but there still needs to be there's a lot of work that needs to be done in the black community, especially with a lot of the black on black crime. And no one's twisting uh, their arms in the neighborhoods to kill each other. They have no, just like in the brown neighborhoods, there's no excuse. They can't blame it on their environment or anything else. It's just a conscious decision for them to pick up a gun or deal dope and try to protect their little franchise or whatever they got going on. It's just, I don't support it for that reason. They need to take that message into their own neighborhoods and try to clean that up too, in order for someone like myself to say, okay, yeah, they are doing a good thing.
That's deep.
Yeah. I mean, it's you have to have critical thinking when you join any kind of, especially nowadays with Instagram
From what I
and
know, Black Lives Matter is a multi-billion-dollar, if not worth hundreds of millions of dollars, bro. Like, I don't
Wow,
lucky,
wow.
it's being
from
funded by something.
well,
Mm,
look, this is the way
And and,
I'm gonna
and,
give
and
a
shout out
very
to everyone, all my homies that fuck with I fuck with Black Lives Matter. I love how they prioritize, cop killings, injustices, right? And that's what that's what they're stubborn about, right? Lucky, it's oh well, wait a minute, Black Lives Matter was created out of the injustices that police do
right,
against the
right.
minorities, right? But that term is pretty. Like, I agree with you, Lucky.
Well, this is the way I see it. If you allow me to kind of put it into a metaphor or some sort of an analogy, right? You can't get help from rich people because rich people aren't going to take your poverty away. They may give you some money. They may rent a hall out for you. They may give you some fancy posters. But just know that they're a part of the problem too. You see, just because you own a slave plantation and every slave has shoes, every slave gets to eat, they're still slaves.
Mm.
Everybody wants to be heard. I want to be heard. But it's the white man's camera that you're being heard on.
Mm.
It's the white man's invention. And everybody's begging to be on it. Please give me a voice. Please, here's a few million. Let's get on this TV show. And it's all the white man's elitist tools that you're trying to break out of. Yeah, you may have a nice car. Now you have a salary. Now you go and protect until he starts saying, don't protect that. Don't protect. I'm not giving you my money for that. What are you talking about? People not going to prisons anymore. You can't. It's like Stockholm syndrome.
Mm.
That's what I feel Black Lives Matter is. It's a Stockholm syndrome. You don't fall in love with the oppressor that oppressed you.
The first thing I thought,
I don't care how rich you are. You come from a capitalist system that stole and took land from individuals who agreed, and you broke the agreement.
Mm.
Yet you're still profiting off of it.
Yeah.
You're still a millionaire from it. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're a bazillionaire and you're like, hey, Chicano lives matter.
well, from what I
Let
heard,
me give you a couple mil. Well, that couple mil comes from a system that oppresses my people.
Right.
Has
Right.
always oppressed my people. So you can't give me enough money to help my people. You know what helps my people? Looking in the mirror and healing yourself. Getting a connection. Putting your hand in the dirt and going, I'm connected to this.
Great analogy, brother. I like that.
That's the way I feel.
you know, when BLM came into my peripherals, the first thing I thought was like, Raza lives matter too. Like I don't know. I just thought that just came about. You know,
They-
My
look,
perspective, my point of view on that
Indigenous
situation was when I first saw them come out, and all my years working, volunteering my time to stop gang violence, I just saw it as some kind of like, I was like, okay, good luck. What are you guys doing for the in the black community in the gang areas? What are you guys doing there? What are you guys doing for them? I don't see you guys, walking through the streets of Compton and other areas trying to talk to the Crips and Bloods about murdering each other and this and that, trying to prevent them from doing that. You're just taking your war directly to the cops or the white man or whatever, but you're forgetting about the ones that are, in the back, the ones that are doing the damage to each other, to their own.
all they're really doing is creating a reality show out of our trauma.
Mm.
And they're publicizing it. And people will get there and they'll look on their phones and they'll share the video and look at the trauma we live with. Look at the trauma. Black Lives Matter. Give me some more money for posters, man. Because look at the trauma. And then the white man's just fucking eating popcorn going, damn, they're fucked up.
Yeah.
is it cheap?
It's
Zero?
like Black Lives Matter is the production company for white people to be entertained by the trauma that happens in our communities.
Right. And you know what I was tripping out
It's a
on?
fucking reality
In
show.
the NBA finals, right? LeBron James finals, they had Black Lives Matter on the court, bro. That their official logo on them. Like, yo, that's not cheap to advertise on that level. We're talking
Let's
multi-million
just
dollar
say
contracts.
marketing, clever marketing will never save the oppressed.
Right.
That's just plain and simple. You could put it on the fucking White House itself. Cover that fucking White House with Black Lives Matter. All it is a fucking sign. That's all it is.
Exactly.
It's a sign. That's it. There's no, infrastructure.
They're selling millions of shirts. They're
Hey,
selling millions of shirts. And
it's a sign.
And
Now-
from what I heard, the founder of Black Lives Matter purchased like 4 or 5 houses, luxury houses in neighborhoods of like white people.
Yeah, well, she did
Wow.
because her life mattered now. And
Wow.
she mattered so much that she needed to fucking live outside of fucking the place that she fucking wanted to stay in. That's how much her life fucking mattered. Look, I want to be very clear right here because I'm not making fun of a movement that wants to correct the trauma that's happening in their neighborhood.
Exactly.
What I'm doing.
And
man.
and Zero, just
What I'm pointing out is that there's rich philanthropists, quote unquote philanthropists, that want to make a change in our neighborhood. So they decide to give us this fiat currency to print up posters, to make videos that lead to dead ends. Where is the change? Has cops stopped killing in their neighborhood? I'm not questioning your heart, your intention to want to help your community. Black Lives Matter. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying that I view things as a native on the top of a mountain, looking down at everything, going, this doesn't look right. Why is the oppressor making the oppressed believe that he's on his side? Yet he's still making backhand deals, lobbying in the back, passing laws. Yeah, we're buddies. Wait, you need another poster, my friend? Where do you want the poster now?
well, I do want to say, guys.
Wait, should we do the World Series? Do you want to do the World Series?
Yeah.
Let's do the World. Wait. I got a better one. Super Bowl. We can do it the Super Bowl. How about that one?
And guys, and for anyone that's watching this, if you're part of the BLM movement, we love you. You're with us.
do love you.
We are with you.
Take that money and create your own organization and call it and name it yourself. Don't have a CEO.
Yeah.
Have nothing but heart and change. It's time for us to stand up to them fucking idiots.
Of course, you would buy multi-million-dollar houses, right? Of course. What else would you do?
Why would I want to live by another fucking oppressor? When it comes to this, it almost gets disoriented and frustrating because we know what real change is. Real warriors that lay their lives on the line, they know what change is. And what I mean by that, I don't mean by holding a gun and putting violence in front of people's faces. What I'm saying is I'm protecting truth. I'm protecting love. I'm protecting children. I'm protecting elders. I'm protecting the water. I'm protecting the earth. I'm protecting the sky. Everything matters.
Yeah.
Everything matters.
Indigenous lives matter. Natives' lives matter. Raza lives matter.
The water, the life of the water matters. The life of the earth matters. The pollution in the air matters. We all matter. Everybody matters. I don't want a fucking sponsor. I don't want a fucking sponsor because we're saying that. I want my community to fucking let go of their fucking colonialism, put their hands in the dirt and connect.
This is why everyone that's tuning in, everyone that's going to listen to this on Spotify, watching us on YouTube, on the replays, do some research on that video. That was disgusting. That was a full-blown attack on the indigenous community.
It's just the same old thing.
And I want that same outcry.
It's the same old shit that they've been doing for hundreds of years.
Oh yeah.
You don't think they did that when they're manifest destiny on their way to West? You don't think they're taking pictures of fucking, their fucking stagecoach?
Yeah, remember a lot of the Warner Brothers cartoons had like deep-seated racism and racial overtones in them, anti-native stuff, and the blacks and the way that they would make fun of the blacks and stuff like that.
I think
same old thing, different year.
I think the civil rights movement, Black Lives Matter, they just paint this illusion that everything's gone, that racism doesn't exist anymore. But it does. This country, name a fucking year that they were not racist.
Oh, so as far as
And
I'm
the birth
concerned,
of their country, the whole motherfucking shit. Name 5 minutes that they weren't fucking racist.
But remember, Zero, BLM, the definition of BLM, according to them, their number one enemy are the police.
Yeah.
Who are their bosses? Who are their bosses? Who are the police's bosses? Because they need to be fucking pointed at. The police are just getting orders. They're taught to not question orders. You're fighting the wrong person. Fight the guy that's giving the order. There's only one. And he got an order from someone else.
So, man,
We need to be in the truth. We need to be in reality. And police officers are normal people who have uniforms that get their humanity stripped away from them because they
Right.
wear this uniform.
Exactly.
That's all it is.
This is such an explosive episode, legendary episode. We wish we could have, Lucky 2Tears on for, 2, 3, 4, 5
We'll have
hours.
them come to the Malinali and do a Know Your Rights workshop for all our community there. And then, we'll go down to San Diego and he'll host us down there and we'll do a little performance and workshop down there. The time is now. I like the way Lucky 2Tears walks. He walks like there are no contracts. He walks like there are no borders. There are no governments. They're just people acting and playing a role. And
I was on this other podcast and they asked me about my political stance, and I told them, I don't believe in the church nor politics. To me, they're built on the same foundation: hypocrisy and lies. And with that, that's just my stance, And I said that. Well, they said? What is your solution if there's no politics? If you're not affiliated with any form of politics, or if this government fell, or how would we be able to, push ourselves away from the government and government rule? I said, people of this land, no matter what nationality or race they are, we should all have the opportunity to try to govern ourselves.
Yeah, that was the governance of Anáhuac. Sovereignty.
Right.
Individual sovereignty. I was so sovereign, I could live in the jungle. I could live in a desert. I could live by the beach. I could live wherever I want because I'm sovereign. Sovereignty is important.
When you know your rights, that's what the police say. They'll say, well, were you some kind of sovereign citizen or something? No, you're the one who's a sovereign citizen. You're the one with qualified immunity, and the license to kill. Not me. I'm just exercising my rights as a citizen on this, in the divided states of America. You're the only sovereign citizen here, Mr. Officer. Yeah.
We have to just know that no power, government, queen, religious official, has governance over your life. Your life is a mystery. Your life, we don't even know where it comes from. And I'm talking about every single individual who has a heartbeat. We're mysterious creations from the great creator who we can never conceptualize. We're that powerful. We're that connected.
Right.
Our ancestors studied for 26,000 years, created fires, 52-year fires.
I think it's time for the star people to come down and start putting everybody in check, man.
I think that's what's happening. I think you're a star person. I think people that have a strong opinion about people who are taking advantage of individuals who are not informed and who are quote unquote weak. That's what I was trying to point out just right now, is that we're not weak. Our nervous system alone, our brain, the way our blood flows through our body, we're very, very unique and powerful and beautiful.
Don't let elites manipulate your emotions and distract you from reality. Because the reality is that we live on Mama Tonansi. And we have a beautiful community around us. And in that, there's power.
Right.
That's the way I feel.
Man, such an explosive episode. We're gonna have to wrap it up, man. Again, I want to thank you, Lucky 2Tears Morales, man. I'm sure you're a lot more informed now, right, Zero? A lot more
Absolutely.
familiar.
Thank you for all the
with 2
information
Tears,
you
man.
shared with our platform. Thank you for saying yes to our invite and being the great person that you are, my friend.
Well, thank you, brother. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
We'll see each other soon in real life, and I can't wait for that meeting of two very humble hearts that are just wanting one thing, and that's the respect that we deserve as original people of this continent called the
Right.
Nawak, Turtle Island. So thank you for coming on,
Absolutely.
my friend.
Anyone watching or listening to this, make sure you guys follow this man. He's a legend.
Oh, thank you, brother.
He's a legend.
Keep up the good work.
Any last words, Lucky?
Just follow me on my, you can continue to support me by following me on my social media, Instagram. I'm very active on the Instagram at lucky underscore 2Tears. For those of you who have Twitter, I'm at lucky 2Tears. And Facebook, Yaki Crow. And I also have TikTok. Let me see real quick. I always forget my my TikTok account. Yeah, let me check it out real quick. And
This is amazing, right, Zero? He's all across social media, man.
and he's very active and active
most definitely.
active
I
with
have
that's
go ahead, brother. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, I'm just saying that you're a very active individual with a strong intention, and you're using those platforms to get your intention across. And I just want to thank you again.
Yeah, thank you. My TikTok is at Yaki underscore 711.
Okay,
Okay,
so
so
we have all his handles, and thank you so much, my brother, so much. Again, I can't. I love meeting brothers that have the heart of the ancient warriors, the ones that stand in front of the fire and have a personal connection with that intention. And it's
Oh
very
man, you gotta meet my Yaki sister Claudia Crotalk, man. She's a powerful lady right there, man.
absolutely. We're gonna meet all of them because we're all one family, and we're
Yeah.
gonna create spaces where we can do that. Me and Armando are in Los Angeles, and I have my Malin Alicali. Armando's a big promoter here in Los Angeles, and we're trying to create spaces and venues where we can learn and share information and heal from the trauma that has been imposed on us. Because the
Right.
time is now, and you're not that powerful to keep that trauma in my life forever. You're not that powerful, man. Elites, queens, kings, governors, fucking captains, generals. You're not that powerful. You're
Not at all.
Absolutely not.
It's just a title. That's all it is.
That's all it is.
Doesn't mean anything in the spirit world.
Oh.
Wow, amazing conversation. Thank you again, Lucky. We will talk to you soon, brother.
We'll see each
Thank you,
other soon,
brother.
my friend. Oh.
Wow, Zero. That's a good man to start season 2 like this.
We had some pretty powerful guests.
We had DJ Warlock 1 officially be our first guest for
Probably
for
the
season-
hottest
season
underground,
2.
the hottest underground producer in Los Angeles, I think, in our community, in the native community, in the Mexican hip hop community. This brother, and even in the industry, his name is being.
He's not Mexican though, right? He's
Guatemalan.
Yeah, Guatemalan.
He's Mayan. He's from the Maya country, and that's what makes it beautiful. Like we're starting to break down their borders, even without having to break down their borders.
Look-
their borders are nonsense.
Look,
their borders are stupid.
Look, I came across Lucky 2Tears on Instagram, and literally Zero. Within the first second, I stumbled upon his page. I glanced at it. I went through a couple posts. I'm like, man, this was months ago. I was like, man, we have to have him on the show.
Yeah, and it was a good interview. And obviously, the chat was lit the whole show.
I appreciate every single one of you that spend time on our podcast and listen to our show. I can't thank you enough. Thank you, everyone who has been a podcast listener, who has went to Malinali Kali and has purchased something and supported our vision. Our vision is not to be capitalists and to be rich. We're going to be rich with our community. We're going to be rich with love, a true love. Love that is critical. Love that can correct one another in a humble way, that looks out for each other, because that's what our ancestors taught us. Our ancestors just taught us to take care of each other. That's all we have is us. We have just us. And us means anyone who is including themselves in a peaceful way, in a communal way, in a non-judgmental way, in a non-hierarchy, in a hierarchy. If you believe that you're higher than us, then you don't belong in our circles. We are all together in the same road, that same path. It's called life. It has its ups, its downs. It has its days, its nights. It has its good, its bad. But it's all together, and it's called life. That life is precious. Let's protect that life with all that we have. All those beautiful children that you have. And let's protect our community, because we're all children of Mother Earth. We all need to see that. And if you cannot see that, you don't belong in our circles until you figure that out. We love you here at LA Natives Podcast, and we appreciate your involvement and your chats, your comments on the chat, anything that involves your energy towards LA Natives Podcast. We greatly appreciate. And I know that comes from Armando. And we get many gifts here. So I just got this really cool gift, right? Baby Huey kicked down, and he gave me a shirt.
Product
Pistolas, a.k.a. Baby Huey. And it comes with beautiful gifts. So hit him up, follow him. Thank you so much for the gift, brother. I appreciate it. I appreciate you and your talent. I appreciate
show him that bag on the camera right there, man. That's Baby Huey right there. That's Kush Life. It's Product Pistolas. He's actually performing at the Conejo event.
There you go.
He's on Conejo's new album.
Right. He just took it to another level. Like, this brother is promoting himself in his own way, and this is just it caught my attention. So
absolutely,
it comes with beautiful gifts, and thank you so much for my gift. I appreciate it with all my heart. It comes with some smoke, and he's a very talented individual, and I wanted to make sure that I thank him for my gift, and thank you guys for being a part of LA Natives. Thank you so much for your heart, your energy, and your love. And we'll see you next Wednesday. Tlasukamatli, Ometeo, Tonantzin, Tonatu.